All right, here's our second video from 10.4. We're going to continue talking about area. We've already talked about the area of a rectangle, the area of a square, and the area of a parallelogram. Let's continue our discussion and talk about the area of a triangle. You know that a triangle has three sides, and we can find the area of any triangle by doing our base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 base times height means the same thing. Base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 base times height. Now we're going to remember, base doesn't always mean bottom. Your base and your height are just the two pieces, the two parts that are the two measurements that are perpendicular to each other. Okay, so let's do a few examples of triangles. Finding the area of a triangle for part A gives us a whole bunch of different dimensions. We've got to find the right ones that are considered the base and the height. So find the two dimensions that are perpendicular to each other. It looks like here we have horizontal and vertical, so those must be our base times our height. That's 10 and 16. I'm going to do base times height divided by 2. I have 10 meters times 16 meters divided by 2. That gives us 160 square meters divided by 2, or 80 square meters for the area of that triangle. All right, look at triangle part B. This looks like it's an obtuse triangle, and so it gives us a whole bunch of dimensions here. This one's a little bit harder because now we have to be careful to figure out which pieces, which dimensions are our base and our height. Remember, base and height have to be perpendicular to each other. So if I tried to pick this side, it is not quite perpendicular to that side. It doesn't quite make a right angle there, so that doesn't work. What if I picked this side and this side? Well, that's totally not perpendicular to each other. And so looking really carefully, which pieces are perpendicular? Well, it looks like this 12-inch side is horizontal, and then the height, if I were to take it, right, is perpendicular, and the height is a distance, a length of 9 inches. So the 12 would be my base, the 9 would be my height because they're perpendicular to each other. So I'm going to use my formula, base times height divided by 2. I have 12 inches times 9 inches divided by 2, which gives me an area of 54 square inches. Making sure I can see your setup so I know exactly where you're getting your numbers from, and then your answer labeled for me so I can see step by step what's happening. All right, let's talk also about the area of a trapezoid. Now, a trapezoid is a four-sided figure that has just one pair of parallel sides. Remember, we talked about parallelograms in the last video where you have two pairs of parallel sides. The top and the bottom are parallel, the sides are parallel. But on a trapezoid, you only have one pair of parallel sides. The other sides are not parallel. In order to find the area of a trapezoid, you're going to take this top base plus the bottom base, the two sides that are parallel to each other. You're going to add them together. You're going to multiply it by the height. Now the height, remember, is perpendicular, so it's typically the distance between the two bases. I call it base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. Base 1 plus base 2, then times the height divided by 2. Same formula up here. You're taking the two pieces that are parallel, adding them together, multiplying it by the distance between the two bases, and dividing it by 2. Let me show you an example. Example number 5 gives us a trapezoid where we have our two parallel sides, and we want to find the area of this trapezoid. So my two bases, base 1 plus base 2, times the height, remember that's the distance between them, the perpendicular piece, the 13, divided by 2. Now they give us some extra information that we won't necessarily need, at least for this example anyway. You might need that if you were doing maybe like a perimeter or a circumference, something like that. But on this one, that's just extra information. So base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. That's 34 feet plus 46 feet, which is just a bigger feet, times 13 feet, that's feet squared, divided by 2. So I ended up getting 507 square feet for the area of this trapezoid. Base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. Make sure you add that. If it's not on your formula sheet, make sure you find out where it's at so you can use that for your test, okay?